spaces, and build bridges to allow her to transform the world. Nice. She's amazing. You're gonna love her. Okay, so let's give her a big round of applause for Lydia.
Yes. Buenas tardes. Thank you everyone for having me here today. I'm excited to read to you all. So I'll just begin. Tal vez. Maybe if I understood, I would feel more at home. Maybe if they spoke more slowly, I would not feel so alone. Maybe if they'd pronounce my name, I would not feel this awkward shame. Maybe if they saw beyond my accented words, they would see I deserve to be heard. Maybe I can explain. Maybe if they understood leaving family far behind, maybe then their words would be more kind. How can I tell them of a time of dehydration? There is no break in desert walking, no soda relaxation. Maybe if they saw the death of living the American dream, dreams of crossing, mothers, fathers, children's pleading screams, maybe I can explain. Maybe if they knew these rags are my riches, they would not compare to their brand name stitches. Maybe if they saw their schools are filled with learning sound. In Mexico, schools are simple buildings where only some children are found. Maybe if they knew my family cannot read or write, they would see why they fight to keep me here. Maybe I can explain. Maybe if they knew my house in Mexico had no heat or air, they'd realize my trailer here is fair. Maybe if they saw the struggle to live day to day, all the jobs no one else will take to earn a steady pay. Maybe I can explain. Maybe if I can complete my mom's wishes of a better life for me, overcome her lonely tears, be all that I can be, then the family we left behind would not be so in vain. Maybe if I lose the color of my skin, the accent in my tongue, maybe if I forget my past and all that makes me me, then maybe they will listen. Then I can explain. La pesadilla. Wouldn't you wake? Media pesadilla. Wonder, worry, nightmare. The black night stares. Racing heart flares. Awake, aware. Una sola lágrima. Single tear. Dissolution. Soul-stirring pollution. Bankrupt of solution. Seeking revolution. Purity deshecha. Scarred emotion dwells, confusion swells, unsanctioned vengeance fell, hatred dispelled. The bite of traición, betrayal, breaking and disconnect, actions affect, mind must elect, a verity to select. The fragileness del futuro, shattered by the careless hand, in what reality do we stand, predetermined or planned? Hope jammed. The magnitude de la fe, recognizing all dark has light. The soul must bear the sight, withstand evil's might. We were born to fight. Constellations brilla el cielo, anxious pleading screams, relationships ripped at the seams, resilience of broken dreams, la pesadilla, when nothing is as it seems. Corridos are ballads. They're ballads that are sung. A lot of the banda's music that you hear are corridos, so they're stories. So this is Corridos de Justicia. Border conflicts far away, my alma cries in dismay. No conocen la frontera que cruzamos, cultura, lenguaje, identidad que enfrentamos. Manifestations of language, power, and control, academic success at the cost of young souls. Que no se permite fluir, they don't see the knowledge we construir. Transform and honor linguistic practice, theories of bilingual peoples with no access. Las diferencias entre mundos la habla algo tan profundo. Linguistic justice, race, and position, beaten, subdued, silenced into submission. ¿Cómo se puede dividir un ser humano? ¿Cómo se puede mantener la mente sano? Invisible ideologies, understanding lexicologies, una palabra puede sanar o dañar. We can't let the children olvidar. Shifting spaces and commonplace notions, humanizing research, causing commotion, inocencia, esperanza, soledad, appropriate language, que necedad. Releasing histories, uncovering language mysteries, constrained fixed language barreras, mantiene a los chicos en las afueras. Academic success, dominant discourse, hybrid voices become hoarse, robados, tirados, humillados, ningún lenguaje cultivado. Discount colonialities of power and shame, urge transformation so culture and language remain, allowing interpersonal and translanguage voices to sustain. Authentic literacy, aprendizaje verdadera, maintained. Vivir, to live. Camino, I walk in a skin my own, all the lives I've seen and sown, watching my children as they have grown, being my family's safety, their backbone, in a world so big and yet alone. Miro, I see branches reaching to heaven only to be cut short by consumerism, sunken eyes and skin ashen, dreams adrift become barren, ripped boxes become mansions. Escucho, I hear car horns, they jam the senses, fast feet escaping souls trapped by invisible fences, hesitant, anxious, uncertain, voices tense, empty parks, deathly silence, no sounds of confidence. Respiro, I breathe among the whispers that are our thoughts, twisted moments tense and taut, tenderness, acceptance no longer given, but bought. Peace, understanding, liberty sought. How hard our elders fought. Se siente. It feels like a cloud's wisp in hopes of catching the dream, where children don't disappear, mothers don't live in fear, community's mutual respect is clear, and hatred's gaze no longer appears. Vivo, I live in a world with so much fight, knowing we must see beyond black and white, recognizing, accepting diversity's might, so our children may have renewed sight, taking our nation to new heights. This one's about my best friend. Alma. Alma, black and tan soul, the day my heart you stole, your silly side rolls, you were God's healing patrol. Alma, head big as a block, how you loved to sit on a dock, you carefully watched over your flock, waiting with your head just slightly cocked. Alma, who loved to bark, you scared off my terrors of the dark, gave the days a new spark, and loved to chase squirrels in the park. Alma, who could clear a room, whether it was by bounding in like a typhoon, or knocking over furniture with a boom, or simply pushing me out to gaze at the moon. Alma, who thought she was a lapdog, gentle beast who loved to jog, and bring me the biggest log, hunt moles and even frogs. Alma, who taught me how to tear down my walls, because with your strength I couldn't fall, this sickness leaving you sprawled, to the angel's gentle call. Alma of my heart, each day turned into God's work of art, always a new adventure waiting to start, never a moment far apart. Alma, black and tan soul, forever grateful, because today I have new goals, since your love made me whole. Last one. Empty and devoid. Empty and devoid of emotion, carefree, happy, and full of devotion, bitter, angry, enraged fury, laughing, living, lack of worry. Hands tremble, breath unsteady, and a mind a chaotic buzz. Eyes water, chest heaves. Is this what living does? How do I see beyond the mirror of my own eyes when truth reflects lies and the soul begins to cry? I willingly wish to be deaf and blind to a society and humanity so unkind. Love a diamond that is rich in name only, for nights are still in silence, lonely. Battles fought day by day, most ending in dismay. I seek that raven that will fly my soul to another realm, where peace and tranquility forever man the helm. Must my eyes be gouged before I see peace, my eardrum shattered before I hear innocent laughter released? My heart sliced before love is pure, and my hands burn before I feel gentle touch, love's cure. I do believe ignorance is indeed bliss, comfort found in that non-existent true love's kiss. I await the moment when words may no longer stab my heart like a knife, where the actions represent strength and peace, not destruction and strife. I shall embrace the day I do not see a world seeking liquid haven, or other vices one becomes a slave in. Computer, phone, media devotion, numb, dumb, distracted, and full of emotion.
That was great. Wasn't that typical Spanish, right? Always good to face a little bit like of the language. I feel like I told Angelo, I have to read a bio about you. And have so many different bios. Like, what do I read about you? And then everybody knows you. You're famous. So I'm gonna read the one you shared with us today.
Sure.
That says Angelo Geter is an award-winning poet, educator, and teaching artist based on Rock Hill, South Carolina, where he currently serves as the poet laureate. He's also the program director of Tosca Music. What is Tosca Music?
It's a nonprofit, youth-based nonprofit.
Cool. Cool. I'm excited to hear you too. I think this is a great event. I'm very excited that we have so many people. Like it's gonna be cool. We will upload the video. It's streaming now, like on YouTube. We will upload these, all the reading, the book reading, and it's great. So when we finish and you have a chance to have a look at the Poetry Society website, everything will be there too. Now, please welcome Angelo.
You good? I got you right here. What's up, everybody? Y'all can do a little bit. All right, how's that? All right, feel like a little. $5? It's in the car. How's that good? Everybody out there, y'all can see me. I don't know. Cool, man. Y'all feeling good? Yeah. One more time for Lydia, right? Lydia. One more time for Lydia, everybody. That was beautiful. Beautiful job. You made my job very difficult. So if you don't like anything, you at least like what she did, right? For sure. So, man, first of all, thanks to Poetry Society of South Carolina for having me. We had the workshop at 1:00, and that was great for those that were a part of that. Thank y'all for coming. And like I said earlier before we started the workshop, I really appreciate when they reach out because they're like the main the poetry organization of South Carolina, and they're predominantly, at least and historically, have been like based on page poets, like bringing page poets to do readings and stuff like that. But I really appreciate they have now Chris O is on the board, I believe, right? They are embracing performance poetry, and so me coming from a performance poetry background and poetry slam and being here and I did a reading in Charleston last year. I just really appreciate that because I think we have to stop siloing off like different types of poetry, right? Poetry is poetry. So whether you read from the page or whether you read from memory, poetry is poetry, and that's what we all here for. So I just appreciate that. So I do have some poems for y'all today. Most of them I won't be reading from. I have some poems from my book, More God Than Dead. I have some copies here if you want to buy that. I'll talk about that a little later. And I think I want to experiment with one or two, with one performance poem, but a couple new poems maybe in there too. We'll see. I like to feel the spirit at the same time. So whatever the spirit is telling me I need to read, I'll do that. So I might divert from my set list, but we good. So this first one, before I get started, I like to always just pay respect to those that came before us, our ancestors and those who transitioned and going on. And particularly today, I want to show respect and love to my dad, Joseph Geter. He passed in July. My mom, Marion Geter, passed in 2022. And so it's just, and I'm from Columbia, born and raised here. I've lived a few places, but it feels like home. So it's good to be here. So I feel like it's only right for me to pay homage to them. And the first poem I'm gonna read is a newer poem. It's called Carpenter's Son, and it's about my dad. Carpenter's Son. In Italian, my name means messenger of God, one who deciphers holy things from unholy places. My name is the first poem I ever spoke, the last song my mother belted from her belly. It was the only harmony being sung while my parents were playing jazz chords in the key of divorce. Each syllable a crashing hi-hat stumbling into a stubborn melody, a sultry triplet played in a home full of distance. It sounded like a gust of calm, a ripple of southern drawl sprinkled with Carolina moonshine. Before my name somersaulted off their lips, my parents nearly gave me the two syllables my father wore his entire life, Joseph, a moniker that would have been passed like an heirloom, an inheritance of dirt roads, sin, and sacrifice. In Hebrew, Joseph means God will give, as in God gave Joseph a wife named Mary, as in Mary gave birth to a son named Jesus, as in this man who shares my blood also married a woman named Mary, who would one day give birth to a son who would become a messenger from God. My father wanted to give me the only thing he owned, a garment I could easily step into without restitching, a hand-me-down I wouldn't be ashamed to wear, a carpenter's son carving holiness out of a deconstructed name. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. We in 2025, right? We made it. Made it through. It's been 2024 was kind of nuts, I feel like, right? Like it started crazy and it kind of ended crazy. I don't know what's going on. But I'm glad we're here. Glad y'all here with us today, man. So I do have a new baby, you know what I'm saying? Little Langston. Langston is at home right now, named after my favorite poet. Yeah, so it's beautiful. And when I think about, like, just different journeys that we go through, like this past year, and it kind of happens every year, unfortunately, we lose a lot of people, especially towards this last quarter. We lost like Quincy Jones, and we lost Nikki Giovanni, yeah, so many other people. Frankie Beverly, yeah, it was just a really crazy year. I felt like towards the end, and then this book touches on grief and loss. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but every time that happens, I just think about, like, life is so precious, right, and so short. But I also think about, I'm clearly Black. If you weren't sure, I am Black from the South, right? And I just thought it was always a very beautiful thing how Black people in the South, how we celebrate death, right? Funerals aren't funerals, they're homegoing celebrations. If you walk into a Black funeral, you're not sure if it's a party, if it's a family reunion, if it's a revival or whatever, right? And I think that it says so much about, while we're in the midst of loss, like, and grieving, it's like we also want to honor the legacy of the person, right? In their transition. And so this poem speaks to that. It's called Black Grief as a Seance. Black grief as a seance. Black grief is the inside joke America puts on mute. A silent film no one has the attention span to watch unless the body is soaked in gunpowder thrown from foreign hands. Timelines and status updates flash the dead names like a marquee, while the hashtag is hungry to add more to its collection. If the grief isn't sexy or comical, we don't have space for it here. If the chest wasn't seared by a bullet or a neck mangled from a noose, it isn't worth the airtime. If the man's heart stopped thumping, if the woman's blood clotted to infinity, if the boy's cells sickled a symphony of submission, if the girl's lungs howled into the wind, the channel gets turned before the broadcast even begins. Black grief is a rite of passage. We are taught the weight of death before our legs sprint towards playgrounds and jungle gyms. We know that someday soon someone who looks like us will become corpse before their 16th birthday. We know it could very easily be us. Whether through cancer or traffic stop, our lives can fade into a darkness heavier than the melanin our skin holds. So we treat death like a celebration. Call it a homegoing instead of a funeral. Dance until the ancestors shake beneath us. Cry until the sobs become songs. Pray as though the body sitting at the front of the church can actually hear us. Black grief is thicker than grandma's cornbread, tangier than Carolina barbecue, saltier than collard greens simmering over swollen heat. It is a gospel song coded in regret, a Mahalia Jackson wail, Marvin Sapp singing Never Would Have Made It without knowing if we actually will. Thank you. We good? All right. Good. So, in the midst of like dealing with moments like that where you're dealing with grief and loss and just trying to process like life, right? We're always gonna lose things. Like grief isn't one of those things where it's like always about a person. Sometimes you lose yourself, We had a collective grief in 2020 with COVID. A lot of people just lost jobs, they lost places, lost things, But I've always had this thing in the back of my mind that's always been like, even though I'm going through, and I didn't really like that I had it. And sometimes I still don't like that I have it, but I got it. So it is a blessing. But I always had this thing that no matter what I'm dealing with, it's always something in the back of my head is like, you know what, you should still be thankful. You're still alive today. You still got this. You still got that. You still got a roof over your head. You still got family that loves you. You still got, all those things. And that has always been a very irritating thing to have, but also, an honored thing to have at the same time, right? A blessing to have that you can't get so bogged down in just life, And so this poem was kind of written from that place of just celebrating things that maybe we shouldn't celebrate, but at the end of the day, we have another chance to get it right. It's called Praise. Today I will praise. I will praise the sun for showering his light on this darkened vessel. I will praise its shine. Praise the way it wraps my skin in ultraviolet ultimatums demanding to be seen. I will lift my hands in adoration for how something so bright could be so heavy. I will praise the ground that did not make feast of these bones. Praise the casket that did not become a shelter for flesh. Praise the bullets that called in sick to work. Praise the trigger that went on vacation. Praise the chalk that did not outline a body today. Praise the body for being a body and not a headstone. Praise the body for being a body and not a police report. Praise the body for being a body and not a memory no one wants to forget. Praise the memories. Praise the laughs and smiles you thought had been evicted from your jawline. Praise the eyes for seeing and still believing, for being blinded from faith but never losing their vision, and praise the visions. Praise the prophets who don't profit off of those visions. Praise the heart for housing this living room of emotions. Praise the trophy that is my name. Praise the gift that is my name. Praise the name that is my name, which no one can plagiarize or gentrify. Praise the praise. How the throat sounds like a choir. The harmony in your tongue lifts into a song of adoration. Praise yourself, being able to praise, for waking up when you had every reason not to. Thank you. Thank y'all so much, man. I appreciate y'all love. Appreciate y'all love so much. We're going to get a little happier. Is that cool? We're going to turn it up a little differently. So as I mentioned, this book, More God Than Dead, I released it in 2022. I can keep saying that. 2022 sounds like something an old person would say. So in 2022, I released this book. I still feel like I promoted and talk about it like I dropped it last week, but very, very proud of the work, my debut collection. And it centers on, loss and grief and resilience. And a little bit of background, I'm widowed. My late wife passed 7 years ago. And when that happened, right, I was, for one, just trying to figure out what does that mean? Am I still married? Am I widowed? Like, what is this new life? Like, who am I kind of thing, right? Just trying to figure out who I am. And then I couldn't even write for a while. And then when I got back to being able to actually write poetry again, then it was like, okay, what do I write and how do I write it? So I had this idea, I'm going to write like the widower's manifesto. It was going to be everything you need to know about widowhood, right? About being a widower or a widow. And it's going from top to bottom. It was going to be, I don't know how long I thought it was going to be, 1,000 pages, whatever. And this is going to be the opus of everybody. Whenever you enter grief or whatever, enter that stage, you can look at this and this is your manual. And I quickly realized that was the dumbest thing I could ever do in the world. That's stupid, right? Only from the sense of there is no one book that's going to give you all the answers of everything, right? There's no one book that is going to be able to provide a roadmap for everybody. And not only is that an exhaustive thing to do, it's just not like true, right? When we honor people that have passed on, it's not about like the overall going into the grief part of it. It's more so the memories you had with them, like the individual things, like the lessons that you learned and stuff like that. And we talked about like infusing memory in our work earlier in the workshop, and I had to learn really through this experience, you know, of how to do that. And so this poem touches on that, like a specific memory. And I've only read this poem like one time when I released the book, so it's really funny that y'all here because I was at the book release. When I released the book, I read like the original version of this poem, and it felt like today I just wanted to read it again. So serendipitous. It's called Epithalamium. So background, an epithalamium is a poem that was like in the old days, a poem that was given to the bride in her bridal chambers before a wedding. So I kind of renamed it and called it Epithalamium because it's lit, you know. So there we go. And it has a good 3-6 Mafia reference, which I think hope y'all appreciate. Epithalamium. There's no greater feeling than listening to 808s spill the harsh calligraphy on a stereo while coasting down a South Carolina highway. There's something about passing old cotton fields while listening to 3-6 Mafia that makes you feel a strange sense of comfort. When you turn your head to the passenger seat and see your bride rapping the words, slob on my knob, like corn on the cob, you laugh uncontrollably. You laugh because you realize the saying is true. All pretty girls really do love trap music. You laugh even harder because you remember the first time you told a girl you loved her and she turned you down. You remember how it felt to have your heart muted when you were full of so much music. Your symphony of excitement put on pause when she rejected you for a boy who could never appreciate the cadence in her collarbone. It took a while to find your rhythm, but you found it in a woman with turntables in her dimples, scratching the soundtrack to your heart every time she cracked a smile. The melody made you believe in music again. One day you turned down the volume and asked to remix her last name. She said yes. And now you're both riding down the back road screaming, check in with me and do your job in unison. As though synchronous, I love the people that get it. As though synchronicity is second nature. Like this is the duet you were waiting for all along. Your wife is lit, as the kids say. But you already knew that when you met her. You felt the fire like a hot 16 over a dope beat. The sparks flew like fireworks on a summer night. You both flamed and burned until the smoke made an ad lib on your future. This marriage is a quiet inferno, break dancing on sound clouds, swallowing titles of uncertainty. This marriage is an anthem that can't be sampled, a classic compilation with no tracks to skip. This union is the perfect playlist, a mixture of D'Angelo and Crime Mob, a ratchet and righteous rebellion. Like, baby, I love it when we're cruising together. But I know that if anyone tries to radio edit our opus, we knucking and bucking and ready to fight. And then nobody going verses our verses, censoring our chorus to silence this sound wave. The song says, first find a mate, then find a place, and you have. There is home in her eyes, harmony in her hips, and you can make music here forever. Thank y'all. Thank y'all, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Appreciate that, man. So, kind of on the same vein, this next poem was again like when I realized, okay, let me just center on the moments. Like I centered on this particular moment, and which is always amazing. So my late wife had a lot of surgery. She had Crohn's disease, and so it was just a lot of hospital visits and things like that. But I was always just amazed at how fly she looked in the hospital. Like, how you got out of surgery, but you look like you were out of a magazine or something. And so this poem is an ode to that, and an ode to her. Black girl fly. My girl is fly, and not fly as in helicopter or airplane or kite cascading across a sunset. I mean fly as in dope, fresh, trendy, sexy. So fly, the wind asks for her permission to speak. So fly, NASA consults her before sending shuttles beyond this galaxy. Fly like blackbirds somersaulting on a blue playground of sky. Fly like stiletto heels tall enough to reach heaven's backyard. Fly like walking into a room and stealing the spark in everyone's faces, turning any venue into a runway. fly like she came to slay everything, and all you can do is watch yourself become prey. So fly, every follicle of hair is laid like a prayer, bowing to the temple of her edges. So fly, she convinces me to buy her sundresses every summer, like spending my money is her favorite pastime. She'll flash a smile and say, Ange, and a smile that weakens the grip of my wallet and serenades the crease of my lips into a smile I can't resist. So fly, I never complain. I gladly carry anything her flesh leaves an imprint on. My girl is so fly, she makes me believe gravity doesn't have jurisdiction over this blanket of flesh, and flight is our native tongue. So fly, she makes a hospital gown look like Fashion Week. So fly, the nurses at CMC Pineville know her by name, greet her with a smile that says, I hate you back here, and I'm also happy to see you. So fly, she's had more surgeries than birthday parties. So fly, the doctors gave her 6 months to live, and she refused to stick to their timeline. So fly, she talks to God on a first name basis and writes a gospel with her tongue. Thank you. Thank y'all. Everybody good? We good? We straight? So I got one more poem for y'all. I don't know. Actually, can I do 2 more? Is that okay? Yeah. Some saying do 2. Some saying do 2. So I'm gonna obey the spirit. I'm gonna obey the spirit. So we have a lot of black women. I think that's what happened. A lot of beautiful black women in the audience. Black women make some noise. Right now, everybody else makes some noise. I love everybody. All right, there we go. There we go. I believe fervently that if we had to assign God a gender or God a face, it's a woman and specifically a black woman, right? I think just because of the way women in general give us life, they nurture us, they guide us, and in my life personally, black women have just been the compass that guide me, always in the right direction, right? And so this poem talks about that. It's been a minute, so give me a second. For colored boys who consider God when a black woman has always been enough. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God, and God was a woman. In fact, God was a black woman, which means the Word was also, yes, slay. Eyebrows on fleek and snatched waist with a face beat to herself. And this God did turn water into wine, but preferred to spill the tea. Believed that petty was her privilege. So this God spoke with molasses in her accent, was thicker than a bowl of grits on Easter Sunday, sweeter than biscuits with honey drizzled on top. This God smelled like a southern fried sanctuary dipped in hallelujah. And she spoke with authority. When she said, let there be light, she was talking about herself. But there were so many men standing in her way, their darkness cast a shadow on her brilliance. So now she throws shade in their direction while her sons set sight on other targets, which is to say, the black woman has always been a target. A bullseye they try to destroy with words and bullets, but this God is no stranger to being hunted. She's always been the most endangered of species, been preyed on instead of being preyed to. And that is the worst kind of blasphemy. To kill the very thing that gave you life in the first place, to bite the hand that birthed you. I watched her be savior more times than I can count. Turn empty pockets into full-course meals. Turn a black man's tears into wishing wells, overflowing with forgiveness. I have seen her be the Messiah that sacrifices herself so everyone else can live. I have seen her resurrect dead things, like bank accounts, like relationships, like men, like herself. I have seen her give sight when blind faith was too strong to move on its own. And we still said her name in vain, called her whore instead of holy, Satan instead of savior. And despite that, she lifted us like Lazarus from a hollow grave. And we repay her by appropriating her godly, trading Felicia Rashad for Rachel Dolezal. Use silicone to make lips and hips look just like hers. And if we are made in God's image, it should look like shea butter and Bantu knots, but instead they are stealing every piece of her. So we forget that God was black and was a woman in the first place. But they fail to realize that the only thing that can kill a God is a God. So they can never whitewash her magic, part the Red Sea in her locks, steal the sweet tea molasses sitting in her tongue. Because y'all, this God is the only God still worth praying to. Thank you. Thank y'all so much, man. I appreciate all the love. Thank y'all so much, man. As I mentioned, I do have copies of More God Than Dead. If you want them here, it's $14. Only $14. That's practically $3. I take cash, Cash App, EBT, Zelle, Venmo, all the things, PayPal, whatever new thing, IOUs, little slip of paper, barter system, you know what I mean? All of that. Y'all, when I say EBT, y'all just said it like it was normal. Well, I don't take EBT for real. If we can make we can make a little situation happen. You know what I'm saying? I got a little baby at home. You got some wick? That's what I really need. We get that wick. Get that wick card. Oh, you got what? Diapers for right, for real. Oh man, but this last poem, since I started, I talked about like ancestors and those that came before us. I started talking about my dad. This poem's about my mom. But I also say I think it talks about and touches on which women who have, maybe been instrumental in our lives, whether it be a mom, a grandmother, or a mother figure as well. So that's why I'll leave y'all with today. It's called Wonder Woman. So for as long as I can remember, my mother has been the strongest woman I've ever known. A queen whose face is made of stone. Jigsaw puzzles in her teeth, piecing the truth together. Her eyes are bridges that connect the past with the future. And she's what I like to call a straight shooter. Will tell you exactly what she feels. Doesn't care what you think or how you feel about it. Wears a heart on a collarbone like a diamond necklace. Holds pyramids in her palm so you can feel the royalty in her embrace when she gives you a handful of... You start over, y'all. Sorry. So for as long as I can remember, she must be talking to me. For as long as I can remember, my mother's been the strongest woman I've ever known. A queen whose face is made of stone, jigsaw puzzles in her teeth, piecing the truth together. Her eyes are bridges that connect the past with the future. And she's what I like to call a straight shooter. Will tell you exactly what she feels. Doesn't care what you think or how you feel about it. Wears a heart on a collarbone like a diamond necklace. Holds pyramids in her palms so you can feel the royalty in her embrace when she hands you a fistful of compassion. And my mama has a monument for a heart. Hieroglyphics in her tongue decipher the elegance in her speech. She is a small, a strong, and proud woman. A woman don't put on high heels just to go to the grocery store. Or put on full makeup and get her face beat to the gods just so she can go to the gas station because she believes that queens should never leave the house looking like peasants. And she's a superstitious woman who believes that aspirin and vinegar can heal anything. And I'm talking arthritis, gout, scoliosis, coronavirus, the flu, you name it. She thinks these things can heal it. And that's why I love her so much, because she makes ordinary things seem remarkable. Like how she can take a 50-cent box of noodles, add some milk, egg, and cheddar, make the most delicious pan of macaroni and cheese you ever tasted in your life. So good, it made Jesus smack his own mama. Rumor has it that she once put Bigfoot in the headlock, smacked Godzilla in the face and told him that his breath stank, killed a Moby Dick, rolled him in flour, threw it in the pan, and called it a fish fry. Y'all, my mama is a gangster. I'm convinced she's thrown a couple bodies in the river. Because when I was younger, she performed drive-by butt whippers on me with a switch, a hanger, extension cord, anything if I ever got out of line. And when she was done, she let me cry. To remind me that she ain't raised no punk. Show me that being a man has nothing to do with the size of your genitalia, but everything to do with the enormity of your character. My mama had the strength of Harriet Tubman, the grace of Cleopatra, and the style of Michelle Obama. She is a war machine with missiles shooting from her tongue that stopped men dead in their tracks and brought them down to her knees. Living proof that the most dangerous weapon in America is the voice of a black woman. And it proves that black lives do matter because she has birthed them and raised them and fought for them more than she has fought for herself. Because my mom is also a survivor. Just this past year, she fought the biggest battles yet with a giant named cancer and a titan named heart disease. And although one of those things took her chest, it can never be strong enough to steal her heart. Not vigilant enough to cut off her air supply because now she is the air. A floating force too big to escape, yet too small to hold on to. A constant reminder that, yeah, God sent a son to save us. We created a woman to raise us. Thank y'all so much. That's my time. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Thank you, Loli. Thank y'all so much. Love y'all.
I mean, Chris, you wanna add something?
Yes.
Like, were you think something in mind?
Just shout out everybody that's doing both. Angelo, you still got your vibes.
Yeah,
and
Vibes and Verses. Yeah, second
Vibes
Sunday of the month.
Versus,
Yeah,
Sunday,
second Sunday. Yeah, so the
Vibes,
January
Rock
12th.
Y'all be aware of that.
Yeah.
Also, to what we got going on? Lou? We do a lot, so it's good.
Y'all do a lot. Yeah.
Oh,
Check the website.
huh?
Check the
Check
website.
the
We have
website,
a lot of
yes.
events on the website.
Our Facebook and Instagram. Also, shout out to each and every poet. If you want to look, all the poets that's around me, they got events going on. Look at their website. Their social media. So much.
They're there.
Jam session.
Uh-huh.
February 22nd. Me and Marnike, we're featuring.
Nice.
Poetry. Pastor Hathor, yes, 7 and 9. Afternoon of prose.
Poetry and
afternoon
prose. Yeah.
At the, what is it called? What's the art center
Bakita Arts
called? Bakita Arts Center.
in Rock Hill.
I'm a feature the second Sunday in the afternoon. Be on the lookout for that. If you want to look at on my Facebook, it's Christopher Blackton. And my Instagram, Chris_Life.